Welcome to our podcast series, The New World of Life Sciences. Life science companies are facing unprecedented change, which is significantly impacting the existing business models. In this podcast series, we will discuss key trends and their implications for life science industry and key imperatives for business model innovation. My name is Arne Buthmann. I'm a partner at OXYGY, and I have more than 20 years of experience in helping clients in the pharma and medical device industry improve the way they work and reimagine their business model. With me today is again my colleague Günter Kloucek.
I'm Günter Kloucek. I joined OXYGY about a year ago. Prior to consulting, I have been working for pharmaceutical industry for more than 25 years in various operational and strategic roles in local markets as well as in regional headquarters, including GM positions in Austria and Germany, and Chief of Staff and Head of Strategy in the Europe and Canada region.
Thank you. So today we talk about change and regulatory complexity. Change obviously has become the new constant. The pace of change and the disruption is faster than ever. When we spoke in previous episodes of this podcast, we discussed the need for more value demonstration, patient centricity, digitalization as a key enabler, and the need for a partnering approach. Transforming business model takes time, but if you're not changing or not implementing change fast enough, then the environment may have developed further, making your initial change effort irrelevant in the worst case. Günter, what is needed from an internal perspective to successfully adopt new business models?
Yeah, exactly, Arne. Change is the key topic, and therefore agility has become a key organizational capability needed to adapt and change in a timely manner to thrive in today's unpredictable world. So creating agile organizations and developing agile leaders is the foundation for bringing innovative business models to life. According to a lot of research in this field, there are 6 levers to make a company more agile. First one is purpose. Creating and unifying and compelling purpose with customer centricity at its core to guide strategic decisions and day-to-day work likewise. Then structure. Building fluid, flexible, and team-based organizational structure to enable cross-functional collaboration, and also building an agile governance to push down decision rights and resource allocation to the lowest level in the organization feasible. Process. It's about defining standardized but lean signature processes coupled with agile solution development, such as design thinking, working in sprints to prototyping, and so on. Then a transparent performance management and incentive system to be built to foster this agile working and collaboration. And IT landscape and systems enabling insights generation, fact-based decision-making, and speed. And mostly important, a culture of learning and innovation and agile leadership empowering and developing employees.
The culture of learning and innovation, can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Sure. In order to move from rigid and risk-averse to agile, experimental, and adaptive behaviors, companies need to let go a prevailing mindset. A mindset of an idea has to be fully baked, and the solution has to have every bell and whistle before being launched. Instead, organizations need to foster an agile way of working and empower employees. If you leave a known path and try out something new, then mistakes are inevitable. And therefore, a trust and learn mentality is needed to reframe mistakes as a source of discovery and learning, thereby reducing the fear of failure. And by how leaders react to failure, they actually create the norms for appropriate risk-taking, which means they legitimize failure as part of discovery and growth. In my opinion, leaders have actually two key roles. They are architects of their organization's vision, purpose, strategy, structure, and processes to create the framework for agile organizations, and they are also role models to influence how agile an organization culture actually is.
It is a paradoxical world though, right? Because while more agility and appropriate risk-taking behavior is required to manage the market challenges, regulatory compliance is actually increasing in complexity, and the ability to shape and to manage the complex legal and regulatory imperatives will increasingly have a competitive advantage.
Yes, it is, Arne. And as you rightly said, the already complex regulatory landscape is going to become even more complicated as the demand for personalized healthcare solution is increasing. And let's take the design of a simple patient engagement activity like a disease support app as an example. If the design is not done properly, you can run into many compliance issues. Patient promotion, data privacy, pharmacovigilance regulations, anti-corruption, and competition laws, just to name a few. Therefore, involving legal and compliance functions early in the iterative solution creation process helps to ensure compliance and at the same time allows for an agile way of working, given that legal and compliance functions are trained in providing this solution support. I think that's really important because when it comes especially to data privacy, nothing is more sensitive than personal health data. Yeah, the use of big data to manage the COVID-19 crisis might increase acceptance of digital means for collecting, analyzing, and processing sensitive health data for improved health outcomes. But data privacy and security remains a key or a very critical topic. And additionally, there are new regulations on related topics, such as new technology standards, new scientific standards for real-world evidence and transparency rules, and they all will define the boundaries within which the actors in the healthcare sector are allowed to play. So successfully navigating an uncertain and ambiguous regulatory landscape in a compliant way has become certainly a business critical capability.
Right. And at the same time as the interdependence between all the players in the healthcare sector increases, companies who are seen as ethical and trustworthy will be the partners of choice, I assume. So this requires a decision-making which is balancing well medical, economic, and ethical considerations.
Yeah, for sure, Arne. And this complex, let's say, decision-making, I think it's relevant for the entire topic of business innovation, because given the high interdependency and complexity of trends and challenges discussed in our series, it's certainly not an easy task to encompass the 6 imperatives. Number 1, value demonstration. Number 2, patient stakeholder centricity. Number 3, digitalization for value generation. Number 4, collaboration and partnership. Number 5, a culture of learning and innovation. And number 6, regulatory compliance. So in doing so, a holistic and agile transformation approach is certainly needed. Now, Arne, given your long-lasting transformation experience, what next steps should companies take?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I would say it's probably 5 steps. The first one is companies have to understand how close to excellence their company is. So with our clients, we're using a model which helps assess the maturity against these 6 imperatives that you just mentioned. The second step would then be to envision how you see your future business model. So how different will your company look like in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years? Which capabilities will you have built? How will you engage differently with the 5 Ps, right? Then the third step is to compare where you're today with where you want to be and align on the priorities based on your strategy and based on the identified gaps. And that will then lead you to a 4th step of scoping, chartering, executing initiatives, but always with an agile approach, always with this idea that you show results quickly, test and learn, right? And then the fifth step is basically monitoring progress and continuously reassessing and going back to your maturity assessment from step one and adapt your approach as required. Would you say that makes sense, Günter?
Makes absolutely sense, Arne. Yeah.
Yeah, so this concludes the fourth episode of our podcast. In the upcoming episodes, Günter and I will talk to clients and colleagues in our network to hear their perspective and experience with the new world of life sciences. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tune in for more episodes to come.